Alright, so today I'm going to teach you a little bit about subqueries. Specifically, we're going to be writing a select statement with a subquery inside of it. Now, subqueries get their name because they're queries that are inside of another query. And so they're a query within a query, which makes them the subquery. So we're going to be writing one of those, and just a little bit of a background, we're going to be pulling records from the item table. We can take a look at that table. And this is the table where we have item titles, such as movies and video games, and any other item that can be rented. And then the other table we're going to be using is our common lookup table. And the common lookup table holds values that don't necessarily belong in their own table, but are commonly used throughout our design. And we can take a look specifically at what records we're going to be using. And you can see here we're going to be looking at item type values, and those contain anything from DVD full screen, DVD widescreen, a couple of video game platforms, and Blu-ray. So what we're going to do is we are going to write a query that we'll take, and we're going to list all of the items that are in a subset of types. So in this case, we want to exclude the video games. So let's start out. We're going to begin writing our select statement, and we are going to select the item title from item. We can run this, and you'll see that we want the item title, not item. So we're going to run this, and you can see that we get 21 rows, all with the movie titles or the item titles. You'll notice that there are a few video games in there, such as Mario Kart. So now what we're going to do is we are going to exclude all of those video games from our list. Now, there's a couple different ways we could do this. We could write a join and then exclude from there, or we can use a subquery, and we are going to use the latter here. So we are going to add a where clause, and we want to say where item type, because that's where we define what type of item it is, and then we're going to say in, and so it's in a list. Now, normally we would put a list like this, where it has Blu-ray. But the problem is that these values are not actually in the item table. And so rather than do a join to try to get at these values, we're going to use a subquery. And we can write the subquery by simply putting a query inside of two parentheses. So I'm going to put my two parentheses here, and then we can write our other select statement. So in this case, we are going to select common lookup ID from common lookup, and then we can filter those values here because now we have access to them. So then we say where, and let's take a look at this. We want it where the common lookup type is in this set. So we're going to say where common lookup type is in, and then we can say Blu-ray, or let's start at the top. Let's say DVD full screen. We can say DVD widescreen, and then we can say Blu-ray. Now, in a subquery, we don't need the semicolon at the end of the subquery, so we're just going to add our semicolon at the end of the overall statement. From here, we're going to give this a run, and you'll notice that we get 6 rows selected that have a common lookup type that are in those. And so that's a little brief demonstration of how you can do a subquery. It's pretty simple. Pretty much anywhere you could have a list or a where clause, as long as you return the correct number of values that the parent query is expecting, you're good. In this case, because we're using the in clause, it is expecting a single list of values. So in this case, as long as we return a single list of values, we're good. If you ever want to test a subquery, you can actually write the subquery first. In this example, we wanted to know all of the common lookup IDs of DVD, widescreen, and Blu-ray. So you can actually take the subquery, run it all by itself if you add a semicolon, and you can actually see the list that's returned to the parent query. Now you'll notice here that I'm actually missing one. Somewhere I have made a mistake, because this should return 3 where instead it returned 2. So let's go take a look. We have DVD full screen, DVD widescreen, and Blu-ray. So let's take a look here. Common lookup type in DVD full screen, DVD wide underscore screen, and Blu-ray does not have an underscore, it has a dash. So now let's try again. Add our semicolon, and now we get our 3 records. Now when we run this, we should get the 13 rows that actually have that type. So it's important not only to write your subquery, but to test your subquery, because then that way you can ensure that you're getting the proper results. But anyways, that's subqueries in a nutshell. Again, they're pretty simple. Anywhere that you can explicitly declare a value, you can always write a subquery that returns the values for you.